Hey there, it's your boy Foxy, back for more relationship stories. Update: Husband lying about finances. Original post. The title is basically the story. I am also to blame for this, I realize that. We divided household responsibilities pretty evenly, but we don't split every responsibility down the middle, and finances were his job. He's better at them. I thought he was better at them. Now we are $50,000 in credit card debt. I did not know about this. $50,000 on a home equity loan. I did know about this. 2 months behind on our mortgage, and severely behind on a car payment. I quit my job when we decided to have my middle child 3 years ago, then we had our youngest a year ago. I thought we were fine, we should have been fine. I don't understand what the hell happened, or why he waited so long to tell me. I trusted him completely. I would never have believed this. I love him so much. By all accounts, we had an ideal marriage. Or we did, I thought we did. I have no idea how we ever come back from this. It will take years to pay this off. I am in school full-time, but will need to drop out because we can obviously no longer afford childcare while I'm in class. That just sets us back even more because my earning potential is lower. The most messed up part is that my dad did this exact same thing to my mom. It was awful to live through as a teenager. It was a serious contributor in being resistant to commitment or ever relying on anyone for anything. My husband obviously knew about this. It was my #1 reservation when I was quitting my job. I can't believe I was so stupid. This is my worst fear coming true, and I have no idea what to do. Edit. I don't know why everyone is making up that my kids are in daycare full-time, but they are not. I pay a babysitter while I take one class on campus. Our oldest is in public school and our younger 2 in home with me. I am going to community college, and 75% of my classes are online, the rest are at night. There is no daycare bill. It's literally a $300 a month expense, and it should have worked. We are not living large here. I cook everything from scratch. We don't get takeout. I clothe diaper. I buy the kids' clothes secondhand or get hand-me-downs. Our cars aren't new. Our mortgage is very reasonable. We cut all of the extras when I stopped working because my job would hardly have paid for daycare. There is no reason his income should not have been enough. I don't know what he spent money on, but it clearly wasn't our bills. My husband makes $140K a year, I was making $30K. We had no credit card debt when I quit my job. Our mortgage and home equity load combined are $2,000 per month. Our car payments combined are $500 a month. I know Reddit thinks women asexually produce children, and then force men to support them. But my husband enthusiastically wanted children as well and had an equal role in creating them. My salary would not have justified the cost of daycare. We both did the numbers 100 different ways, and it should have worked. It should still be working. I don't know what the heck he's spending money on, or if this even the extent of the issue. But I didn't just frivolously spend money like a freaking idiot. I bust my butt to keep our expenses low. The plan was that I would finish school and start working again by the time my middle kid was in kindergarten, so we would have only one child in daycare. It was a good plan. It would have worked. I don't know what happened and I'm terrified to find out. Now for the top advice before reading he updates. Regardless, he is doing one of 2 things. You guys have a lifestyle that his job can't afford, and he used the credit card to make up the difference. Or, he is purchasing stupid things and has a gambling problem. Either way, you always need to be involved in the finances. Always. Don't forget the possibility of drugs. What did he spend $50K on? Grubhub, like everyone else. It's gotten to a point that when I go out drinking, I have to delete DoorDash from my phone so I don't drunkenly order $75 worth of Mexican food at 1 in the morning. Everyone says get the Dash Pass, so I did. That had the opposite effect of saving money. So now I'm only allowing myself to order twice a month with freedom. The biggest thing I'd want to know is how he got there in the first place. I feel that would make or break it for me. $50K in CC debt on what? Did he overestimate cost of living and his job doesn't cover the bills? Did he take it out and gamble? Did he spend on frivolous things? All of that information is crucial. Did he lose his job and tried to cover with credit cards until it went out of hand? He got those credit cards unbeknownst to OP, and he cut her access off the bank account. Maybe it's not because he did not want her to see the expense. Maybe he did not want her to see there were no money coming in. I speculate, and I feel bad because it's much worse than if he had spent all the money on online gambling. Now for the first update. I'm going to post this here, and I'll come back and respond individually later on. Maybe tomorrow. When I posted this, I had literally just learned about how bad it was. I spent the day going through everything and talking to my husband. He's cheating on me. The woman has 2 kids, and I guess he's been helping her with them. They could be his for all I know. He's currently vomiting and crying in the bathroom, so that's freaking great. I unfortunately have to stay married to him long enough to figure out the finances. I am talking to a bankruptcy lawyer on Monday. Thank you everyone who made me feel a little less alone today. Oh my god. This is so awful. I am so sorry all of this is happening. I strongly urge you to consult a divorce attorney before the bankruptcy attorney. A divorce attorney will be able to tell you how to best proceed on the bankruptcy. You may even be able to negotiate that all the debt is in the divorce, and you won't have to actually file bankruptcy. Commenting for visibility as well. OP, you might be able to save yourself and save your children a fraction of the pain you went through due to credit card debt. I'm so sorry you're dealing with this. Please speak to a divorce attorney Monday as well. Someone who practices in your county and does nothing other than divorce-related issues. It's important that before you make any financial decisions about bankruptcy, that you have legal advice about what would and wouldn't be impacted by divorce. Please cover your butt and see what's possible before dealing with his mess as a team. Also, don't be above using his guilt against him to try to get him to agree to separation of responsibility of this debt if you need to in order to rebuild your life. He made financial choices that shouldn't be falling on the both of you, and if he cares about you at all, he owes you an out from this debt. Now for the second update. 47 days ago, I posted about finding out my husband has been lying about our finances, and that we are financially screwed. That was just the tip of the iceberg as it turns out. After I spoke to him trying to figure out how this was possible, he admitted to having a second family. He's been cheating on me and has 2 kids with this lady. The best part, she's his second cousin and they've been in love since high school. What even is my life? The debt is worse than I initially thought. It's $100,000 in credit card debt, and there could be more. Who knows at this point? I guess his cousin had a good job, but lost it over COVID, and that's when he started trying to pay bills for both households. I've hired a divorce lawyer who is going through everything so I can figure out a path forward. He's staying with his mistress' cousin and his children. Are they also his cousins? And I guess finally living his dream. We've agreed it's best that our children don't stay there right now. All of the kids are having trouble adjusting, but our oldest is 8, so he has some understanding of what is going on. It's just gutting me. Luckily, we have a load of equity in our house, as we bought it cheap and did a lot of the labor of fixing it up ourselves. It's going to hurt me to no end to sell this house, but it should be enough to let us pay off most of what we need to pay off and go our separate ways. I started bartending again, which isn't exactly glamorous. It should get me and the kids through the next 2 years while I finish school. My ex-husband has so far said he would prefer the kids live with me, and he will pay me child support. I guess we'll see how that goes. My lawyer is also going to handle a custody agreement. If you had told me 48 days ago that this would be my future, I would have laughed. Some mornings I still wake up feeling like it's not real. I am assuming at some point I will get very sad about this, but right now it's so ridiculous that I can't feel anything but a sick sort of humor. From the outside, and even from the inside, we looked like a boring, happy couple. You never know what's really happening behind closed doors, I guess. A lot of things finally make a lot of sense now. I thought he traveled for work 1 weekend a month. I've always thought it was weird, but it's always been that way, as long as I've known him. He doesn't travel for work. He spends that weekend with her. He gets a very generous amount of personal days and vacation, which he was always extremely reluctant to use. Except he wasn't reluctant to use them. He just used all of them to spend time with her and their children. As for the work phone and work computer, nope. Personal devices that he used to hide what was going on. I have started to feel bad for her in a way, because she must have lived such an incomplete life all of these years. And her children, I can't imagine. Anyway, I just wanted to post an update. So many of you were so wonderful that day I posted, which was one of the worst days of my life. One day maybe I'll write a book after I've sorted out all of the insane details. I'll update again if the plot thickens before then lol. Girl, what the hell? Seconded. Holy hillbilly Alabama freaking heck. Divorce split as he gets to keep the debt, and you should keep the house. Western Pennsylvania, so yup. Before you sell anything, see what could be written off in the divorce settlement as his expenses. The money he spent on his affair partner is technically half yours, and him spending lavishly on his affair buddy is taking resources away from your family. You can ask your lawyer about disbursement of marital assets and CO the affair partner in the court case. The courts may be able to take them to task for doing this to you, especially since you have kids, as this is like textbook disbursement. He literally bankrupted your family for his affair partner. If they charge for that over there, he's going down 100%. If you're lucky, most of the debt incurred will be his responsibility since he spent it outside your marital arrangement. If you're extra lucky, she has to come account for how much he spent on her for her bills per court summons. If you aren't, nothing changes, except possibly outing his affair with his cousin, which is his fault to be honest. Best of luck. I hope you nuked his family with the info. For real. And I hope you use a co-parenting app and keep the rest of the communication through your lawyer. And I really hope you put him to all mutual friends and acquaintances. Additionally, I hope you make sure to recoup any and all money he spent on this second family during your marriage through the divorce. And I sure hope you've filed for child support before she does. I'm sure you have a lawyer who is directing you on all this, but I can't help but have second-hand rage on your behalf. I'm so sorry this has happened to you and your kids. As for your piece of crap incestuous husband and his pos cousin, I hope they both get a lifelong case of shingles and ED. What the hell? Where is the rest of his family in all of this? Also, have you spoken to your divorce lawyer yet? I have to wonder if there is some sort of case for fraud against him somewhere. Also, depending on what state you're in, you could sue the cousin for alienation of affection. My lawyer said there is a lot to unravel, but that I will likely not be responsible for at least some of the debt. My husband's mother died when he was 14, and his father is an alcoholic, so we don't see much of him. He has one sister who lives across the country, and I've only met a handful of times. He was close with his dad's brother, who much older than his dad. The cousin he is involved with is that man's daughter's daughter. I think that's second cousin. Overall, their family isn't very close. Except for the two of them, I guess. OP, I'm begging you to talk with another lawyer because my ex took out a bunch of business loans in my name that he defaulted on. In our divorce settlement, he had to take on the entire outstanding balance. There is zero reason you should be responsible for a single penny of debt that was spent on his other family. Also, your ex is a disgusting human. Has he completely abandoned you and your kids? Is he going to leave you high and dry? How could he be so cruel? Did he say he only married you as cover for their relationship? I'm just so sorry. It might be best for you and your kids to take whatever child support he pays and just move to the other side of the country and never see him again. He can't possibly be a decent influence on your kids. I just wouldn't them involved with the cousin mom and cousin siblings. That's just too traumatic. This is one case where they are better off having zero relationship. Last story. I secretly agree with my ex-husband that I was the reason we separated. And I'm dying inside each day seeing my son growing up in two homes because of it. I know all the talk, and I know all the support I get, and I appreciate it all. I know my husband cheating was all him, and it leading to our separation is only natural. But when I got pregnant and gave birth to my son, he became my world. I still loved my husband dearly, but I just loved and enjoyed being a mother. When my baby was 10 months old, I found out that my husband has cheated on me with a friend. It broke me down and I thought I would die with grief. The divorce was finalized last month. Our son is 3.5 years old now and has started living with his dad every other week. This made my ex-husband and I see more of each other. We both wanted the transition to shared custody to be smooth, and my ex-husband spent a lot of time with us to school and our son to this new arrangement. My son could be with his daddy for a whole day, but when it came to wanting to sleep, nobody else was good enough but me. Now he is used to daddy too. It is wonderful and painful at the same time. Wonderful because I want our son to have both his parents' love, but the weeks without him are painful. My ex-husband and his girlfriend broke up. I never asked why, but last time I met my husband, he stayed for coffee after dropping our son. He started crying bitter tears, telling me how I neglected him and it ruined us, and now his girlfriend left him because she doesn't believe he loved her like he did me. I know he is raging mad and trying to put the blame on everyone else but himself, but I have been obsessively thinking that he was probably right, and I did neglect him. I have since he cheated lost 60 pounds. Yes, the majority of it was because of the grief I felt after he left, but I lost it all the same. When I lost the weight, I started working out because it was easier now. 6 hours a week at least. I never did it while we were married. I now loved what I saw in the mirror and I dressed accordingly. Beautiful dresses, tight clothes, and high heels. I started going out more because being single meant that I didn't have the same access to love and affection, so I had to go out and compensate with friends, or maybe the occasional flirting. I thought about his words. Probably, if he hadn't cheated, I would be that same happy woman with some extra weight on, who is too content, her needs fulfilled, to make an effort. I let myself go because I was happy and I lost my happiness. Now I have everything to be happy except happiness itself. Somehow, I don't blame my ex-husband, or at least I don't put all the blame on him. I was his accomplice in ruining our son's life. Now for the top comments. Don't you think you're being hard on yourself? And don't catastrophize. Words of power. It's catastrophizing to say you ruined your child's life. You didn't ruin your child's life. Millions of kids grow up in homes of divorce, and they turn out fine. You have this picture in your head that you'd have had the June Cleaver happy home if you hadn't divorced. It's not true. You and the girlfriend got the same man. If he felt neglected by you, he could have communicated that to you. You just had a baby, of course your attention shifted. I'm sorry to say this, but the only way your marriage would have lasted was if you accommodated his cheating. Good on you for not doing so. This reminds me of a comment made more than once by my father. He said when I was born, all my mother's love went to me. She had a terrible pregnancy and both of us almost died, and I remained in NICU for a few weeks, and he didn't have the patience to just be present and help my mom. He cheated constantly and demolished her self-esteem, and she loved him, and he was too selfish and thought only about his own needs constantly. It obviously made her focus on me more, so she didn't have to think or deal with the pain he was causing her. They eventually broke up when I was 4, and she never said a single bad word to me about how much he hurt her. I only found out as an adult, but I experienced the selfishness firsthand growing up, so it wasn't a far stretch of the imagination when she started opening up to me about it all. OP, your ex-husband is selfish, and don't blame yourself for his infidelity. All he needed to do was communicate with you, and if he really cared, then you both could have gone to therapy to discuss how you both felt. There is no excuse for cheating. None. OP, get into therapy and live your best life. Oh hell no. Put that thought in a coffin, chain it close, push it into the deep dark sea, and then hit it with an air-to-water explosive. Don't you dare take responsibility for his infidelity. Neglecting him for 6 months or a year to focus on your kid does not mean a green light to cheat. Why didn't he say something? Why didn't he suggest therapy or counseling? No freaking way. Kick him out next time he opens his mouth, and tell him to go be irresponsible somewhere else. Hey there, it's your boy Foxy, back for more relationship stories. I finally dumped my girlfriend of 5 years after she forced me to open our relationship. Plus update. It feels very emasculating telling this, but here we go. Me 25 male and me ex-girlfriend 24 female have been together for 5 years, and everything was great until she got a new job. She quickly became friends with a girl at her job named Jessica. Jessica has an open relationship, and she somehow made my girlfriend interested in it, and every day my ex-girlfriend would tell me how great it would be for us, and how we would met other people, etc. I always told her how I felt, and how I didn't want to be with any other women, and that just the image in my head of her being with someone else would destroy me. Anyway, we had multiple conversations about it, until the beginning of this year when she gave me an ultimatum. She told me we either open our relationship, or we were done. I don't know what in the world I was thinking, but out of fear of losing her, I agreed. It didn't take long for her to find a casual partner. She went out with a not-so-close friend of mine. She slept at his mom's house, and apparently, he took her to work in the morning. I was so confused. I kept asking myself what I did wrong. When she came back to our house, I didn't want to talk to her and I avoided her every time I could. But at that point, I probably knew it was over. I lost all my attraction for her. I felt disgusted by her. It took me a couple of weeks to look her in the eye again. She went out with him a few more times in a period of 6 or 7 months. We no longer being intimate without a rubber on. And every single time, she would whine about how I wouldn't do it with her without protection, and how I was making her feel like a dirty woman. Anyway, about a month ago, I started going to the gym and I met a really nice girl, and we started talking. After a few weeks exchanging messages, we went out, and it finally hit me that I don't need to be in a toxic relationship, that I don't need to agree with everything she says just because she wants to. I was ready to finally get over with this mess. I waited her to get home from work, and I told her I wanted to break up, and told her to leave my house as soon as possible. To my surprise, she didn't freak out. She didn't even cry or try to manipulate me like she usually do. It's been 6 days now as I write this. I'm still waiting for the sadness to settle in, but I just feel released. It's finally over. I'm still pretty confused about all of this, and I just wanted to share it with someone. Now for the top advice before reading the update. It's been 6 days now as I write this. I'm still waiting for the sadness to settle in, but I just feel released. You already went through the stages of grief, looks like. Denial. She wanted an open relationship. You didn't. This is usually a relationship ending conversation. Anger. You had multiple arguments and an ultimatum. Bargaining. You thought if you accept an open relationship, it would save your relationship. Depression. You saw her fooling around and couldn't look at her without disgust. You avoided her. Acceptance. You finally acknowledge your relation is toxic and over. You met a new girl. Don't think there is more sadness concerning your ex. I wish you the best. You deserve someone better. Hope the gym girl turns out to be everything you hope and deserve. Good luck. Originally, these stages refer to one's own feelings about dying, not grieving. It's still interesting to see how it can apply to all kinds of loss. People ask for open relationships when they already have someone in mind who they want to sleep with. It's not a coincidence, it just happened to be a mutual friend. She wanted to sleep with him without technically cheating. Yes, and I'm not one to judge or anything, but open relationships are just ways of keeping the advantages you're getting from your partner, but at the same time, looking for a better one. In my opinion, it can never work as a successful relationship. She didn't freak out or cry because she was already more interested in the other guy. Please let this be a lesson and never give into an open relationship again. I hope you hit it off with the new girl. Now for the update. I wrote this last night expecting to be judged, and all I got was supportive and uplifting messages. Thank you everyone. I blocked her on everything I could, but she keeps texting me from different numbers. Apparently, moving back to her mom's house isn't so great. But I made my decision, and I'm ready to move on. Again, thank you everyone. I wish my friends were like you guys. Let her stay with the other men she wanted to sleep with. I'm glad you got out of that toxic relationship, and you are doing what's best for you, OP. Please update if something happens. Nothing much, she's been calling me like crazy, but I'm just ghosting her. I want to be sad, but I'm just glad I dodged the bullet. It took me a while to notice, but life with her was miserable, and life as a single man isn't so bad. If anything happens, I'll reply in here. Thank you. Next story. My girlfriend cheated on me when I was about to propose to her. I, 25 male, caught my girlfriend, 24 female, in bed with another guy. Last week I came early from work to surprise her with a custom ring I made myself that I have been working on for 4 months. Spent 2 months making a smartphone app just for us that includes all our memories together, all our pictures, our favorite songs, our favorite quotes, all our drawings, etc. Spent 2 full weeks on a drawing that I made of us together, and it was the first drawing that I actually liked how it looks. I told her friends and my friends that I am proposing to her today and told them to keep it a secret, and everyone, including me, were excited. These stuffs are just what I did for the proposal. When we started living together, I changed the painting in the room to her favorite color, lights that change on voice command, and some other stuff. I did all that just to make her happy. These stuffs are stuff you can see. I gave her all my attention, all my time, all my efforts, bought her so many gifts, always stayed with her whenever she needed me. More than once, I left work because she needed me in emergency. More than once, I stopped at the side of the road because she has important stuff to tell me. When I'm not around and sleeping somewhere outside the house, I would leave my phone unmuted in case she needed me. These are just few things I'd done for her. I never asked anything in return, and she really never done anything for me anyways, and I was okay with it. All I wanted was her to stay loyal. So yeah, I came home with the ring in my hand and all the surprises ready to show her, but I saw her with another guy on our bed. I will skip all the stuff I did and just say I kicked them both out. She said, "He is better than you anyways. He understands me and I am happier with him." That was last week. I barely ate anything this entire week and couldn't sleep for 2 days. Her friends stopped talking to her, and I am happy that I have people around me, but I still cry over her every day since it happened. I gave her the world, and all I wanted from her is to stay with me. I don't understand what I did wrong. I feel a little better now, but it still hurts me so much. I am planning to sell the house and look to live somewhere else so I can forget about her. I know she reads a lot of Reddit stories, and I know one day she will see this. I won't mention your name, but I hope one day you get the same pain I had. You almost killed me without touching me. I hope you are happy. You dodged a bullet, OP. Take that as a blessing in disguise. I'm so sorry for what you went through. I hope you're able to heal from this one day. Your ex is trash and doesn't deserve you. Better now than a year or 2 into marriage, or even worse after kids. A bullet. No, he dodged a tactical nuke. He deserves someone so much better than her. From what is shown here, he put so much effort into making his partner feel so happy. Honestly, his feelings are more than valid, but this seems like a blessing in disguise in the long run. First, you mentioned, I never asked for anything in return, and she really never done anything for me anyways, which is huge red flag. A partner in healthy relationship will do stuff for you without you having to ask, male or female. Honestly, if I were you, I'd take this as a blessing. You were about to ask someone who doesn't respect or value to be your wife. If anything, I think you should be smiling right now. However, I get you were in love with her, so this will sting. But remember, this is for the best. My honest advice for you is to cry and let out your emotions now. Talk about it, work through it, and most importantly, don't bottle it up. Block her with zero contact. Use the next 3 to 6 months to work on yourself and become a better version of yourself. By this time, if you're ready to start dating, you'll be healed and be a better version of yourself. Stay strong. Exactly. I can't even count the number of times my wife gave me little surprises to show her love. If there is no effort, love dies. OP, find things you enjoyed before you met her and do them. Stay away from movies or music that you enjoyed together. Someday you will be able to watch or listen to them again without pain, but for now avoid them. Cry, but don't let yourself wallow in the pain. Spend time with your friends, they will help you immensely. And last, remember that her actions are not a reflection on you. There is no excuse for cheating. Period. 100%. To me it sounds like OP gave and was the one in for 75% plus, and she was only in for 25% or less. This is just as much his fault as it is hers. He gave too much of himself away and sacrificed too much of his dignity for her to respect him anymore. It has to be 50-50, and if it isn't, you need to back off and let her come into you more, or you're just going to come across as too much and push her away into someone else's arms. Last story. I'm finally ready to leave my husband, but he can't understand why. My story is probably the opposite of anyone here, but for me, it made sense, even though it doesn't for my husband and the rest of the family. I needed to write somewhere to see if there is anybody out there who understands me, or am I, as anyone around me believes, going mental. I found this from a YouTuber. My husband cheated on me 5 years ago on a work trip. His colleague sent me the private tape she made. Apparently, they slept together. She used the tape to get him to start a relationship with her, and when he refused, she exposed him to me. I was in utter shock. This just couldn't happen to us. How could he do this to me when he said he loved me so much? I couldn't take the images out of my head. I was broken and paralyzed. I think because while the normal reaction should have been to yell and shout and leave him, I just went into a depression and was too weak to take actions. He asked for marriage counseling, and for 2 years I lived in this depressed trance, and I honestly don't remember thinking of anything but my husband and his affair, seeing the images she sent me whenever I closed my eyes. After a few months and with the therapist's recommendation, he tried to get intimate with me, but it just triggered my PTSD. I was so embarrassed to give him my body, when it wasn't enough for him. I felt so disgusting and ugly, and him touching me was so shameful. Like, why would he want something that wasn't enough? Something so disgusting. He tried to make me believe that I was beautiful and more than enough, and that it was him not me, and it was never about me not being enough. But for me it was all lies and a bunch of gibberish. I knew for a fact I was disgusting, and I had proof: my husband's cheating. After 2 years, things were getting brighter. The nightmares and images started fading, and individual and couples therapy did miracles. I started to love myself again, and sometimes it went days without even thinking of my husband's affair. We started being intimate again after 3 years. And while the image of him with her was always there, I thought that I just had to live with it. Here is where I might be weird. Now 5 years later, I'm fully happy, feel that I have gained back the control over my life, and I put that whole ordeal behind me. At the same time now, I feel that my marriage is over. My husband is in total disarray. Why now when we are finally happy again? When I'm back to be my old self and finally is over what he did. I even forgave him, I did. But I don't understand his confusion. For me, now I'm happy and strong again, I feel I want more. From myself, my life, and from the man I share my life with. I couldn't leave when I was too weak to think properly and without bias. I couldn't leave when I didn't have a free will, consumed by grief. Why can't he see that it was a healthy way of thinking, not making decisions while hurting? Am I wrong? I'm 35 now. I want to start a family. I want to start this family with someone who would never have done this to me. Doesn't this make sense? Now for the top advice. One of the greatest lines I've ever heard is, "It's not that I don't forgive you, I just know better now." You can never undo the damage created by cheating on someone. Even if you learn to live with it, the relationship is forever changed. This is not what you signed up for. Facing for better or worse assumes you are doing it as a couple. Cheating violates that contract. My ex-husband cheated on me and then lied about it multiple times even after I was sure. I decided that I was too in love and he was too perfect to have lied to me. Spoiler alert, he lied and it shattered me and we never got over it. I should have broken up with him and instead we got engaged. In retrospect, we never got over it. It wasn't so much the act of putting his junk in somebody else, it was looking me dead in the face and telling me I was crazy for thinking that it was true. Agreed wholeheartedly. Found out my ex had been cheating on me with her ex before me for 2.5 years of our 3-year relationship. That kind of pain just messes with you bad. The insecurities and trust issues that form from it are some of the hardest things to get over. The last few months of our relationship after I had found out, and she cut contact with ex and convinced me to stay, and that we could fix it and work it out, all were agonizing, and I'm still a little messed up over it all years later. It did major damage to me too, and it's been years. I rarely think about him anymore, but something will trigger a memory, and I get really angry all over again for what he did to me, and how I had to start all over at 46. New town, new job, new house. I lost my dogs because I had to stay with people because I lost my house to him. There's a lot of crap that goes down with this kind of scenario. You're allowed to forgive him and find yourself again, and still not want to be married to him. He broke you down, you built yourself back up. This is exactly what I did. I'm sure everyone's definition of forgiveness can be different, but I'll say that when I became indifferent and focused more on what I wanted out of my life and future, I had no option but to leave. And because I made that decision, I'm now less than 2 weeks away from achieving my biggest dream for the past 6+ years. Yours is not an unusual story for those who choose to reconcile after infidelity, especially those with a remorseful spouse. At some point, you wake up and realize you want and need more. You've worked through your trauma and your grief, and you've emerged stronger and more capable, more in control of your desires and what you want from your life and a romantic partner. Those with unremorseful spouses struggle more because they're still trying to win the approval of someone who betrayed them. It's harder to get to a place of strength. Your decision makes sense to me. More importantly, it makes sense to you, and that's all that should matter. This makes me feel so much better about staying with my ex longer than I should have. I know myself. I know that if I hadn't stayed, I would have spent the rest of my life paralyzed by what ifs. It would have kept me in a funk longer. I'm on my way out of a funk with my ex. We didn't break up for anything crazy, distance BS. Things are going fine, and there's a real possibility we get back together. We spent the entire holiday together. But there's times lately, as the depression fades because I'm happier now that things are going well, that I stop for a minute and wonder if I even really care anymore. I do, but it's actually really scary that I even think about it.